Hi, I'm Allison Green, and I'm going to show you how to make a glowing neon item. And this you could use to make something like a lightsaber or a neon sign or a halo, or if you want glowing wings, any kind of glowing effect that you want, you can use this for. I'm using it to make a glowing neon heart background for Valentine's Day for a photo of my son, which I have here. And so I'm gonna go ahead and start making my hearts. So I started with a black background. It doesn't matter what color background you use. I might even add a gradient to the background afterward. I'm just using black because it'll show the neon a little bit better. And I've already gone and created just a clean layer on top. I've chosen the neon color that I want to start with, and I'm using a pretty small pixel size for the brush. I'm using 12, and I'm using it fully round, and I'm using it 100% hardness. And that hardness, you definitely want to make sure you can vary the size depending on what kind of item you're making, but you definitely want to have the hardness set at 100% for this first layer of things that you're making. Since I'm making a heart, I'm only going to do half of it because I want it to be symmetrical. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fix that a little bit with the liquify tool. I'm just going to bring this out just a little bit. And I think this probably wants to come down. Let's go ahead and see how this looks. I think I'm going to need to smooth it out a little bit more. And I'm going to select from this top point, because this bottom point I can lose, that's okay. And I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that. So now I have it on 2 layers. I'm then going to flip it horizontally, and then I'm going to line it up. And I'm actually not going to line it up perfectly because I think I like this shape better, and then I can go in and clean it up. All right, so I'm going to merge these, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to clean this up really quick. And I'm just going to use the erase tool for this. Because I don't think it matters if I lose these pixels. Hopefully those are not famous last words. Okay. And since I'm using that 100% hardness, you know what? My opacity is not 100% though. Let's try that again. There we go. Get rid of that little bit. And then I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm just going to clean this up. And you know, it's not perfect, but I think that's okay. And I think I do want to smooth this out a little bit still. And if you wanted to use, you could use a ready-made object, like a vector file or something like that, or you could use a brush. I know some people have heart brushes already on Photoshop if you don't want to hand draw yours. I had a hard time finding the heart shape I wanted. A lot of them were either too narrow or too wide, and I wanted something kind of in between. So that's why I'm drawing my own, but you can see it's a little tedious, especially if you want it to look a certain way. But I think that's good. It's a little, in here, it's a little funky. So maybe we'll just adjust that a tiny bit more, and then we're gonna move on to the rest of the tutorial. That was too much. I just barely touched that there. Hopefully that'll take care of it. But yeah, if you want it to be really perfect, you could buy your own vector or use a Photoshop brush that's heart-shaped. All right, so now I have my heart, and I'm gonna go ahead and copy this layer a couple times. I think we want 3 copies. Yeah, I'll name it green. I probably should have done that before I copied it, but that's okay. So on this first one, we're gonna go to add some Gaussian blur. And I think for this one, we're gonna go up here to 40-ish or so. You can see it's pretty light. I think 40 is good. And then we're gonna go ahead down to the next layer. We're gonna do the same thing. And if you were to use a bigger brush for your original shape, you'll see that, you know, the brightness of the blur, or how much the blur, the opacity of the blur, how much it is, how far it reaches, is a lot more when you use a bigger brush. And you might not need as many layers with a bigger brush as well. So I want to do a little bit, maybe 30 looks good. I like round numbers. So we're going to do 30. And then we're going to do one more. Where am I going? I think let's try 20 for this one. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. And so then we're going to merge all of these. And you can see if you were just making a glowing object, you would kind of stop there. I do want to show an example of what it looks like just on a slightly larger brush. Just so you can see, actually, you know, let's go even larger. Let's go here. And let's just make a line on a new layer. Just so you can see the difference. So I've made my line, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to start applying blurs to these. And I want the top layer to be the hard line, so we're going to use this next layer down. We're going to go to Gaussian blur, and we're going to start with that same, we're going to do the same combination of 40, 30, 20, and you can already see how much brighter it looks. Gonna do 30, and yeah, a completely different look. So depending on what kind of item you want to make, you can vary, you know, your line thickness to get different looks. And actually, like I said, with this larger line, you don't even need the third layer, or the fourth layer. You can just do it with top layer, and then this was 40 and this was 30. Completely different look. So for my background, I'm going to copy this layer, and the keyboard shortcut on a Mac is Control-J for that, and then I'm going to do Control-T to transform, and I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to do a HSL adjustment to change the color on it, and we're just going to apply it to just the one layer. And let's see, what color do we want this to be? I think somewhere in here looks cool. And then if you want to clean it up, you can just merge those layers. That's kind of a pink red. We'll call it reddish, whatever. It's almost pink. We'll copy that and transform it. And then I'll also do an HSL adjustment on this. And make sure we're only applying to that layer. This time I think we're gonna go more purple blue. Okay. And again, we're going to merge that. And since we're getting close to the top, I'm actually just gonna move these really quick. Just move them down. All right, so we're gonna copy that. So this is purple. And then Control-T transform. And you know what? I think I want this to be a little bit more. There we go. And I think I can make this even bigger up here. Okay, we're going to do the same thing again. we can do master on this since it's just the one color on there. And I think I want to make this one almost like a turquoise color. I think that looks good. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and merge all of these. And then I could line it up like that. And I think that's a good place. If I wanted to, I could have some fun with this. And maybe we want to make like a pattern out of it. So I just transformed it. I'm going to copy the whole thing. Move this around. And I can start to make my own little pattern out of it. So you can see I've added in quite a few layers and I've made my little pattern. I did try adding a gradient behind, but I wasn't crazy about how it looked, so I turned that back off. And then I'm gonna just add in my subject now, and I've already cut him out because there was so much shadow on him that it was gonna take too long to do it on this video. So I went ahead and cut him out and placed him in. And then the other thing I did was I adjusted the curve levels on that background layer just so the blacks matched my edit, because my blacks are lifted just a tiny bit. You can see how the shadow, his pants, and the shadow along this side is a lot lighter than this. So all I did was I brought up the black end of that. I'll turn that back on, and you can see it blends so much better with that. It's not totally blended, but it just looks better in general. And then just for fun, I added, this was a layer that I bought on Etsy, but I like that it kind of looked like bleach splatter, which was also kind of popular in the, in the neon era. And so I just added that in as well. And that's my final image.